Shelter from the showers. You can waste your time for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours on the road. On the road, on the road. Oh, you need such good companions on the road.
How'd you find the piano?
I think the owners found it underneath a pyramid.
Oh, how dreadful for you.
You're not terribly attached to high G or lower D in the bass, are you?
Artists must learn to make sacrifices, Mr. Jolliphant.
Oh,
Good morning, Susie.
good morning, Susie.
Good morning, Mr. Jolliphant.
May I ask you a question?
If it isn't personal.
What are all these little piles of music?
Oh, these? Well, these are what we in the profession call little piles of music.
Oh, absolutely. Little piles of music. Thank you.
Reps.
I'm sorry?
Well, these are reps. Short for repertoires.
Oh, I see. Everybody's songs.
But you will have to play. You can play the piano.
I play tunes as well.
Ah, well, Jim is first, so you won't need tunes.
Only papa.
How do you know Jim is first?
First here, second,
Oh, I see.
third, and so on. And we all take turns according to our place in the line. You'll learn in time.
Well, perhaps you'll learn to come a little bit earlier, then you won't be last.
Always save the best till last. The cherry on the top.
Morning, boys and girls. Wait for the master.
Morning,
Nice
Jimmy.
room. Are you fit?
Absolutely.
Well, wrap your little fingers around that.
Right.
It's mostly on papa.
Yeah, so I see. So I almost see.
Right, after three. When I'm going down the street, you will see me on the beat full on a policeman. I'm a policeman. When there's trouble in the air, with my whistle I'll be there, 'cause I'm a policeman. I'm a policeman. Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a policeman. Maestro. What are you doing?
Well, I'm playing the piano. The postman's knock.
Hey? Well, I'm singing the Copper's Lament. Now, look, wait, what does it say there?
SFP.
Well, then, SFP.
SFP?
Stop for patter.
Stop. Ah, splendid. Good. I stop and you patter.
Right.
Ah, right.
Right.
Marvellous.
Suppose he will learn. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that's right. I'm a policeman. Last week, I got this medal for gallantry. I gallantly failed to save a lady from drowning off the pier. Her husband gave it to me. Thank you, Mother. I didn't know you were in the audience. Right. 3. When you're going down the street, you will see me on the beat, for I'm a policeman. I'm a policeman. When there's trouble in the air...
You're an artist, Mr. O'Bloyd.
So they reckon.
I remember. I met a carpenter once in Rangoon.
Oh, we're that third or fourth time you went round world.
Oh, perhaps you know him. He was a Yorkshireman as well. Came from Oldham.
Oldham's Lancashire.
Morning, Ducky. Miss Trent,
Morning, Mr. Nunn.
you winning?
I've made a list of all those towns you mentioned.
Oh, yeah, that reminds me. I thought of some more. You got your pencil and paper ready?
Oh.
Yes, there's the Theatre Royal Tuber and the Rink at Mundley, and then we could do a split week at the...
Split week?
Yeah, that's right, split week, yeah. At the Kersal Haxby and the Alfresco Pavilion Fangfoss.
Are all these real places?
I've died in most of them.
Do we need to send telegrams?
We've got something good to sell.
You died?
Some folk look for magic carpets made by hand on Persian looms. Some folk look for long-lost mummies buried deep 'neath Pharaoh's tombs. Some folk look for life's great secret in La Gioconda's smile. But I look for something different. I'll tell you if you bide a while. like a princess or a queen, who'll comfort me with apples or a dainty nectarine. A boy who'll make me giggle. Absurd but not obscene. I'm looking for a boy like you or you. But if I can't find a boy like you, then a boy like you will do. Oh, that was wonderful. That was topping.
Yes, let's go. Jess, give us a minute, will you?
Will you slip around the corner to the post office?
Yeah, well, what do you want? A book of stamps?
I want you to send some telegrams.
Is somebody dead?
24 to be precise.
He owns a lot of relatives.
Aye, I bet it's a room do and all.
It's like working for a bookie.
Hey, look, and when you've done that, I want you to make me a table.
A table?
Yeah, do you think you can manage that?
I'll make you a table to last a lifetime.
No, I want one that collapses.
Yeah, it must be me that's going daft.
Oh,
We will have a singing bird in a pretty golden cage. The cage will sit beneath our windowsill. Our window will adorn our cottage in the corn that nestles in the shadow of the hill.
why on earth does he choose love songs?
I know he sounds as if he's shouting mistaken onions, but Stella, that's Mrs. Joe, makes him. And they do go down well with the audiences, and he's a lot nicer than some of the men who can sing love songs.
Oh, it's a duet.
I should have warned you.
There'll be roses round the door and peace forevermore. You'll hold my hand and make the world stand still.
By sun and moon twice blessed, our cottage in the west that nestles in the shadow of the hill.
Oh, that was lovely, Mr. Jolliphant. You have just the right style for me, hasn't he, Joe?
Indeed he has.
There's not a bigger or classier rep on the CP stage today.
Very pretty tunes. I wonder if we could just run through our opening chorus. Yes, of course.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I will sing you ballads of the perils of the deep when the night is dark and stormy.
Can I have a word with you? It's quiet, Miss Tran. I wish you would. The Pierrot costumes.
Is that the Dinky-Doo model?
Yes. I think they're cheap and nasty, don't you?
Yes, very.
There popped up in Miss Trant, who had always dressed herself very quietly, a long-hidden love of the gaudy and the fantastic. Shimmering cascades of silk, orgies of apple green and scarlet and lilac and jade, calling down a rain of multicoloured frills and tassels and pom-poms.
Well, let's do something about it, shall we?
Well, I'm the only one who's any good with a needle, but I know a dressmaker who might help. A Miss Thong.
Thong?
Oh, she's very cheap and quick.
Thong?
I say, Susie,
What is it, Professor?
these songs of yours,
Yes.
they're a bit feeble, aren't they?
Could you do any better?
Absolutely, half a dozen in a morning. I mean, it might be tripe, but there's tripe and tripe, isn't there?
Sorry to butt in, but it's Maytown, isn't it?
You're welcome to him. And the name is Miss Dean.
But Miss Dean and Mr. Jolliphant must wait their turn in our story. We must glance at Miss Thong. She has a tiny part in this homely epic, no more than that of a whispering ghost. But we cannot say it has no significance. Miss Trant remembers her to this very day.
Midland Guardian and Widows Fire and Life Assurance.
Miss Thong, dressmaker. We've come to see your daughter.
Well, she's fully booked.
We're delighted to hear it.
And she's not strong, not with all the work coming in.
I'm sure she'll be pleased to see us.
She does too much. One of these days, I'll have to put my food down. I said, one of these days, I'll have to put my food down.
Thank you, Mr. Thong. We'll let you get on with your guardians and widows.
Mrs.
Ada. Hello, dear. I'd like you to meet Miss Trent. She's running the concert party now. No longer the dinky doos, but the good companions.
Oh, you've started up again. That's wonderful. Oh, when I heard you'd broken up, news travels fast in Rosley. You've no idea. I could have sat down and cried. Well, I can't tell a lie. I did sit down and cry, aren't I, silly? I saw them all twice. Pa doesn't like me going out, but I told him I don't care, I said. I know it costs money, but they've really taken me right out of myself with their lovely singing and comics and all.
Yes, well, we'd like
to... lovely singer, Mr. Grundy, is that his name?
Yes, that's his
name.
name.
And that other lady, Miss Cavendish, that's his,
yes,
his wife,
yes,
really,
that's his
Miss
wife,
Longstaff tells me. And they have this beautiful song about a cottage. Then their ivy-covered cottage that nestles in the hill. Oh, but you're all lovely.
How would you like to make some costumes for the good companions? We could put it in our programmes. Dresses by Madame Thong of Rosley.
Your father says you're very busy.
Oh, Pa, take no notice of him. He said we'd never get this house, but here we are. And isn't it nice here, Miss Trent? Look. Don't you think that's a lovely view?
Oh, very nice. Yes, very nice indeed.
Isn't it? Oh, I'm glad you think it's nice, too. It's made all the difference to me having such a lookout. Right. You can go for a start, and you. Oh, golden skirt for Mrs. Moxon, she can wait. And semi-evening for Miss Abby, once it for with strives, she can wait too. Let's have a bit of life, that's what I say. Oh, a bit of life. Who wants a bit of life? Have a bit of life.
Finished, eh?
Nice table.
Hey.
Thought it was supposed to collapse.
Your table's broken.
Yon's not a table. Yon's a prop.
Oh, prop. I beg your pardon. I'm just off to see about the costumes. Oh, it's like a wood full of bluebells. Oh, congratulations.
Oh, just think. I made it. And thousands of people are going to see it.
Hundreds?
Oh, I'm sorry. But we're all a bit silly sometimes, aren't we?
May I be practical for a moment? Now, we open at Dotworth tomorrow night.
That's the 3-night stand I told you about. Charlie Mildenhall fixed that.
The next week, we're at Sandy Bay. Will the rest of the costumes be ready by then?
Oh, yes, easily. I've told everyone else I'm very ill.
Why don't you come to Sandy Bay to see the show? And, well, you can bring the rest of the costumes with you. And we'll pay all your expenses. That's the usual thing, isn't it?
Done every time.
Yes, that would be wonderful. And I could see you all on the stage, too, couldn't I?
Of course you could.
It's a bit of life, isn't it? Give me a bit of life, that's what I say.
Come on, then.
The town of Dotworth looked rather like a dog, Miss Trant told herself. A forlorn yellow mongrel, the same colour as the peeling stucco of the Olympic Picture Theatre. There were 12 in the 1 and 10p seats, 37 in the 1 and 2p seats, including 10 free passes for people exhibiting bills, and the remainder were 9p at the back. Miss Trant called it £3 and reminded herself that these 3 performances could only be considered dress rehearsals.
On the road,
Sandy Bay, which some of them knew and proclaimed to be not a bad date, was a clean, friendly little town. In the October mornings, the air was crisp and sweet as an apple, and it was delightful to swing along the promenade or the pier. A great deal of human life is on this pier, including, on this Wednesday afternoon, Miss Elizabeth Trant.
They were a very nice audience.
Very nice, yes.
Quite cultured in their way. I don't believe in measuring an audience by how many of them there are. More how cultured they are in their appreciation.
Yes, I know.
Jimmy says there are a lot of visitors in the town.
We had no difficulty finding digs.
This walk down the pier puts them off.
You written to young Georgie yet?
No, I was just going to. Wonder where I put the postcards.
Just before lunch. It's a very good time for writing postcards. I think I'll just go and...
Joe?
Take a little stroll, dear.
We were supposed to say boo!
And then I was supposed to say, guess who it is?
She spoiled it.
Well, I didn't want to frighten Miss Trant. She's much too nice to frighten.
He wants to be a star, did you know?
Yes, I had guessed. Oh, look, what the butler saw. Who's got a penny?
I wouldn't dream of looking at one of those things.
Have you ever seen a butler, Miss Trant?
Don't start now. There's work to do. It's absurd.
Let me see. I was in pantomime with him in West Hartlepool. He hasn't changed much.
Mr. Morton Mitchum is in urgent conversation, overdraft thus, with Mr. Pawson, the pier manager.
I have this to say, Mr. Pawson. You keep a very fine cellar. Bearing in mind, this is a pier.
We do our best.
An extremely well-appointed pier. Appreciative audiences for our show, if modest in numbers.
Don't say it's everybody's kind of show. I mean, it's not your knockabout, bustling, come on, let's have your applause kind of show. But I'll tell you quite frankly, I like it. You can put me down for that. A nice little show. As disappointed as you are about it. But that's your problem, you see, being at the end of the pier. If it's good weather, well, they don't want to go to the theatre. And if it's bad weather, well, they don't want to walk the length of the pier now, do they?
Forgive me asking, but were you ever in Indianapolis?
Indianapolis?
In the United States of America?
Oh, but I were in Belgium during the war.
The European Belgium? That is an extraordinary coincidence. I remember once.
Good morning, Mr. Mansell.
Yeah, righto, Jess, take it up. Yeah, take it right out. Now, tonight, I think we're going to have to put a tormentor in each side there, because there's a gap. And be careful when you lower it down, because you're down on your log, so make sure you get it level tonight, will you? Is that that tune you were playing for us the other day?
Poor thing, but mine own.
Oh, we'll have to have a go at that. Oh, get my indigestion tablets for me, will you? Well, what do you think, Jess?
It'll do, I reckon.
Thank you for your enthusiasm.
Hello, Jimmy.
Oh, hello, love. Miss Trent.
Oh, it's all looking very good.
Can I take it away now?
Lad, you can take it away now.
Mr. Oakroyd seems a little worried.
Yeah, well, he's in a funny mood. He's getting like the rest of us. Difficult.
It's easy to see you, Miss Trant.
A lady?
She seems somewhat disinclined to give her name. Oh, never mind that. Who is she? Hist, she approaches. Oh.
Hilda!
Oh, it's Hilda. Oh, no,
The moodiness of Mr. Oakroyd and the melodies of Mr. Jolliphant have an important part in our chronicle, but they must bide their time. First, we must examine Hilda, sister of Miss Trant, wife of a respected solicitor, excellent mother of his 2 children, and equally excellent ruler of his household in Cadogan Place. It is only as a social being that she is somewhat ridiculous.
How did you find me? Your solicitor Truby told me. He wrote to me. He seemed to think it was his duty. It
It was no duty of his at all. I'm sure that's not the way your husband treats his clients.
You must admit I had a right to know.
A right to know what?
What is going on? Wandering round the country with a lot of wretched heroes. It's too absurd. Just like a little stage-struck girl.
I suppose it is rather absurd. But one can't always be sensible, can one? It isn't doing anybody any harm. In fact, it's doing all kinds of people some good, myself included.
Elizabeth, I'm not going to be the elder sister and all the rest of it.
Good.
I won't remind you what Father would have thought of this, because he hardly approved of anything that wasn't Victoria and Albert. But nobody's ever called me stodgy. I've met theatricals at parties, the successful ones, I mean, and I've been glad to meet them and talk to them.
Almost as equals.
Yes.
So I'll tell you what's the matter, Gordon. I mean, the ales you get from the wood nowadays, they're rubbish, but that bottle stuff is just pure fizz.
Yes, I knew Castle Brown's very bloating, you know. I'm going to give it up. I'm going to go straight to the old woods.
You go straight.
This sort of thing, it's shabby and fourth-rate. Beery men and common little girls living on about twopence a week.
Splendid. I had no idea you were such an orator. I don't agree, but do go on.
You must admit, my dear, there isn't one of these people that you dream of asking in, even for a cup of tea at Hitherton.
I do not admit it, and I refuse to regulate everything by what I might have done at Hitherton. I had rather a lot of Hitherton, you know.
I know, you had an awful time at home, and Lawrence and I didn't mind at all about the money coming to you.
Of course, dear, you needn't say that.
We were hoping that you would stay with us and meet people, perhaps settle in town.
I'm sorry to have to upset your plans, Hilda.
Well, if it was something decent.
It's great fun. I like it.
Lawrence says that these Pierrot people are probably robbing you right and left and laughing at you behind your back.
They're grateful and loyal and very hard-working. Just as decent as anybody I've ever met, but more amusing.
And how much money have you made so far?
Not a halfpenny.
I wonder how much you've thrown away so they can spend it on beer.
I'll admit we lost money last week. A place called Dotworth. Oh, deadly little town. But I couldn't possibly give up now. I should despise myself for running away, throwing all the adventure away just to feel safe and comfortable.
I knew you'd be absurd and stubborn. It's all so silly and useless. There are plenty of worthwhile adventures, as you call them. You might be meeting men you could marry instead of hobnobbing with broken-down actors in awful places like this.
I do not want to marry, and please stop, Hilda.
Miss Trent!
Why, Miss Thong, how nice to see you. Where are the costumes?
Oh, Mr. Holroyd said he put them on the stage.
Oh, Hilda, this is Miss Thong, Madam Thong of Rawsley, who's been making the most wonderful dresses for us.
I'm very pleased to meet you, I'm sure.
This is my sister, Mrs. Newent. Hilda's married to the most wonderfully successful London solicitor called Lawrence Newent. You may have heard of him.
How do you do? Oh, I'm really not fit to meet anyone, Mrs. Newent. What with finishing the dresses and keeping Pa in a good mood and catching the train and seeing the sea.
Oh, excuse me, Miss Trent. Want to come and see our pretty frocks?
That's why I came down here in the first place.
Right.
Excuse me, Hilda.
You interested in stage dresses, Mrs. Newent? Oh, I suppose you must be, living in London.
One takes a certain amount of interest.
And then being Miss Trant's sister and having such nice taste yourself. Oh, I know it's rather personal, but as dressmakers, we can't help noticing. She knows what's nice, I said to myself. London style and woo. Oh, doesn't the air seem good at the seaside? Can't you feel it going inside you and doing you good?
It does seem very pleasant, I must say.
Doesn't it? I felt the benefit of it the moment I set foot out of the station. I breathed in and out and in and out. Oh, get it while you can, that's what I say.
Absolutely my colour, but I think you need a little bit off the base.
Look, a proper stage.
Well, somebody promised me a pretty pair of silk bloomers. Now, where are they?
Do you think I might choose a place to sit tonight, Miss Trant?
Any seat in the house is yours, Miss Thong.
Any seat in the house? Oh, imagine that!
Well, make sure you choose one that fits.
You staying for the great extravaganza?
I have to go back to London on the 5:35 train.
No, not even the mighty West End in all its glory can compare with this for grandeur and exotic display.
And we've got a new restaurant sketch.
Lawrence is expecting me.
Ah, Lawrence expects, absolutely.
Oh, Miss Thong, this is wonderful.
Hilda, do look. Oh, rather charming. Isn't it too good for this sort of work?
Oh, no, Mrs. Newark. It'll wear like anything and wash too. You take hold of it and have a good look.
Oh, these are wonderful.
Oh,
You are clever, Miss Thorne.
Dearie, Elsie, Susie, this is my sister Hilda.
How lovely.
Yes, you're very much alike.
Are you twins?
Anything but.
Are you staying to see the show tonight?
I have to catch the 5:35 train.
Oh.
Right, come on, boys and girls. Let's get a half an hour's fresh air.
Hilda insisted on catching the 5:35 and said so a great many times. Somehow, it sounded like the train a strong-minded woman would catch.
Mind you, Elizabeth, I haven't changed my mind in the least. The whole thing's too absurd for anything. And do look after yourself. And the moment you realise how futile the whole thing is, well, just drop it and run, and we'll see, at least Lawrence will, that these people don't take advantage of you.
All right, Hilda, I promise.
Elizabeth, shh! What's the matter?
Listen to the sea.
By the sea, it's so beautifully bracing by the sea. You can sail around the bay, you can waste your life away, you can walk the primrose way. You can walk the primrose way by the sea. You can walk the primrose way by the sea. Listen to the band. And the ozone's really grand by the sea. Yes, the ozone's really grand by the sea.
On the pier!
Life is absolutely balmy on the pier.
Not a minute should you miss. On such a pier as this, you may even steal a kiss.
You may even steal a kiss.
You may even steal a kiss by the sea. You may even steal a kiss by the sea. Terribly amusing.
There is lots of time for losing. And perhaps a little boozing.
By the sea.
Still don't really understand, Elizabeth.
Well, give me a bit of life, I say.
Already, Hilda is at the Dexter's party, saying, "Yes, my dear, Elizabeth is actually running a concert party. Oh, quite crazy, of course, but very amusing and original, don't you think?" For Miss Tramp, the test had come and gone. There were no longer two selves, but one. Now, if only these people would crowd in and enjoy her good companions. Wednesday night was better than Monday or Tuesday. Thursday night was better still. But then Thursday was half-day closing. Friday was just as good as Thursday. But the great question was, would Saturday be a night?
Oh,
if tonight fizzles, I shan't dare look Miss Trent in the face, my dears. Dotworth didn't matter.
Dotworth? There wasn't tuppence in the whole rotten town. If they'd had a whisk drive there, they'd need 6 months to recover.
But Sandy Bay's supposed to be a good date.
Well, I must say I'd like to show Miss Trent a real night. Full house, money turned away, encores, 5 curtains, speeches and flowers.
Oh, I quite agree. Experienced as I am, I cannot sing to chairs.
I can play to chairs. Compared with schoolboys, they're highly appreciative.
I think we're getting going in this town.
We need another week to get really established.
Just keep your fingers crossed. I remember once when I was in Memphis, or was it Atlanta?
Torquay.
I told Miss Trent this morning, I said, properly speaking, you've not really heard me interpret an aria yet.
She's put so much money in, it's about time she got something in return.
Yeah, I must say it would look good on the advertisements. Thanks for a marvellous send-off at Sandy Bay. Last night, a riot.
Is that riot as in fighting?
No, riot as in, riot.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
If you say absolutely once more, I shall lock up the piano and throw the key into the sea.
Nerves.
What's there to be nervous about? The worst that can happen is getting the sack and having to take a proper job.
That makes me nervous.
Oh, me too.
A proper job? You must never use those words in my presence again.
I'd like to show you something very rare and unusual and precious.
Thank you.
This way. There.
Oh, Mr. Parson, thank you. I shall remember this day for the rest of my life.
They're turning people away.
Oh, well, that makes a bit of a change.
But all you can say.
Yeah, I'm right glad it's champion.
Good luck, everybody!
Passage with a roof.
I don't like turning money away. Right, boys and girls, it's going with a bang tonight.
And with a bang it went.
The sun shines bright, the dark clouds don't sky, when the landlord's got a twinkle in his eye. When the birds sing, then you know the reason why you are with the good companions, good companions, good companions, good companions, good companions, good companions, the good companions.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to an evening of mirth and merriment from the Good Companions. And may I introduce to you...
Elsie Longstaff! Stella Cavendish!
Jerry Jerningham!
Susie Dean!
Our musical professors!
Morton Mitchum 4 times round the world! Courtney Brundage!
Inigo Jollyfans!
Add them all together and it can only mean one thing!
They clapped everything. They clapped the interpretations of Joe and Mrs. Joe.
We will have a singing bird in a pretty golden cage. The cage will sit beneath our windowsill.
By sun and moon twice blessed, our cottage in the west that nestles in the shadow of the hill.
No more wandering for me.
You'll sit at home, I'll make the tea.
Side by side we'll say the words, I will. In sickness or in health, not a care for worldly wealth. We will nestle in the shadow of the hill.
They roared with laughter every time Jimmy opened his mouth.
No, listen. Did you notice the medal? Not too gaudy for you, is it? I won this medal last week. I won it. Conspicuous gallantry I won this medal for. Oh, yes, I did. Oh, yes, I did. No, listen. I won this medal for conspicuously failing to save a lady from drowning off Sandy Bay Pier. Her husband gave it to me. Going down the street, you will see me on my beat, 'cause I'm a policeman. I'm a policeman. When there's trouble in the air, with me whistle I'll be there, 'cause I'm a policeman. Yes, I'm a policeman.
The audience rose when Elsie announced she was looking for a boy like them.
I'm looking for a boy like you. I'm looking for a boy like you. A boy who will treat me like a princess or a queen, who'll comfort me with apples or a dainty nectarine. A boy who'll make me giggle. Absurd but not obscene. I'm looking for a boy like you. I'm looking for a boy like you. I'm looking for a boy like you. A boy who will garland me with velvet and with silk, with diamonds and emeralds and pebbles of that ilk, and a bathroom with gold taps, and running lukewarm ass's milk. I'm looking for a boy like you, or you, or you, or you, or you, or you. But if I can't find a boy like you, then a boy like you will
They reduced Morton Mitchum to mere sweat and grinning bone.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I am reduced to humble silence by your generosity. But I still have one small miracle to astonish you. Morton Mitchum, the memory man, will challenge you to defeat his encyclopedic brain. I was once kept alive for 6 months in darkest Africa, armed only with my brain and a tin of cold beef. Mind you, it's a very large tin. Now, if any sporting lady or gentleman cares to name me any year, I will give them the name of the first 3 horses in the derby of that year, and name the jockeys and starting prices. And if any lady or gentleman can beat my memory, they will receive this freshly minted £5 note.
And although nobody could defeat Morton Mitchum's memory and win the £5 note, nobody cared. And when Jerry Jerningham sang,
It's the nicest corner, little Jack Horner, there's nowhere finer. Here to China, favorite place of any, doesn't cost a penny.
in the wings, Susie Dean did pause to wonder.
Why did I let that wonderful little number get away?
But thereby hangs another fragment of our tale, and that must wait, just as Jimmy Nunn must wait upon Mr. Oakroyd's famous table.
Waiter! I would like a napkin, please.
Don't be silly, sir. You're too old for napkins.
Those sort of napkins, a table napkin.
Oh, I see. Well, one each?
Of course.
One each, right.
What do you think of... What do you think of...
Figaro here, Figaro there,
Figaro there. Idiot man.
Now, would you like to see the runners and riders, sir?
We do not wish to see the menu. We ordered our meal an hour and a half ago.
Oh, really? Did you? What did you order?
We ordered the chicken.
Ah, yes, the chicken's off.
Off?
Yes, it got better.
How about leg of lamb?
Don't be silly, sir. You couldn't manage a whole leg.
How did you manage to become such an incompetent idiot?
Ah, just practice, sir. Practice, sir.
Were you always a waiter?
No, sir. No, sir. I was once a sergeant in the army. I saved 10,000 men from absolutely certain death.
Good gracious, and how did you do that?
I shot the cook. Did you know, sir, you see, my family used to be in the iron and the steel business.
How absolutely fascinating.
Yes, my mother used to iron and my father used to steal.
We do not wish to know about your mother and father.
I'd have you know, sir, that I come from a broken home.
Really?
Yes, I should know. I broke it.
I am not in the least surprised.
Did you know this place used to belong to an Irishman?
Oh, really?
No, O'Reilly. No, sir. Would you like a glass of wine, sir?
Yes, I would. Tell me, what vintage is this?
Ah, this is Chateau de Dagenham, sir. It's very sharp on the palate, but beautiful for the complexion.
You are the most ill-mannered loaf I've ever met in my
life.
I'm
terribly sorry, now. I'm terribly sorry. I should have remembered, of course. Ladies first.
Dreadful mess!
No, don't worry, sir. Don't worry. I'll rub you down with my oily rag.
How dare you?
Don't be silly, madam. They're not yours. Right now.
And then it was Susie's turn.
Pretty girls all set me thinking how I'd like to play the fool. But in seconds I am sinking in the deep end of the pool. I set off with good intentions, resolutely keep my word. But I find the whole invention...
What the heck were they for?
Absolutely quite absurd.
That's a wrong name.
And they switched their attention to the flower on the stage.
Blame the champagne, blame the wine, blame the moonlight shining on the waters of the Rhine. Blame the flowers, blame the moon, blame the gypsy violinist who was playing our tune. Blame the teardrops in your eyes, but don't blame me.
all had been worth it, just for Susie. This girl had to go on and on, that was certain.
On the road, you can smell the pretty flowers, you can shelter from the showers, you can waste your time for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours on the road. On the road, on the road, oh, you meet such good companions on the road. You can hear the church bells ring and the little birds that sing. Man is born to be a king. Man is born to be a king. On the
When the curtain came, it was nearly 11. 3/4 of an hour past the usual time. Even then, the enraptured audience would not stop applauding. Speech, some of them were calling. Speech! Jimmy's mouth shaked. Come on and say something, to Miss Trant. She waved a frantic negative. Mrs. Joe was not without her hopes, for might there not be a music lover in the house? Elsie was rich in gentleman friends. Susie was preparing a special smile and curtsy.
From an unknown admirer.
And it may be admitted here and now that there was talk of that monstrous bouquet for weeks afterwards. And we ourselves have perhaps not heard the last of it. The unknown admirer may turn up again.
Elsie, that was a night. Oh, wasn't it? Just
A riot at Sandy Bay, my dear.
Ah, thank you, Jerry.
Only to smell.
Thank you, Jerry.
Are you tired?
A little bit. I've been asleep for a week.
Sleep? On a Sunday? Not in this business, you won't.
I checked the trains. There are 2 stops. A wash beyond the mud.
Mud beyond the wash. Oh, Winston, of course, I'd forgotten. Oh, we start all over again.
No, you see, no, you don't, Miss Trent.
Awesome. How do you remember all those Derby winners?
The trick is never use a real £5 note. Head north throughout the whole.
They moved slowly towards the pier entrance, planning the next day's journey. And was there ever a journey without shocks and surprises, bumps and bruises, and a glorious prospect around every neck?